What is these old things? Before conversion, you had a lifestyle that you got from Adam and Eve, that you are your own God. That is now gone away. All things have become new. Means now you come back to the state where you live by God's. God is your pushto, point of reference. God is your point of reference. So when somebody claims to be a born-again Christian and you don't see this point of reference change, you wonder, why you saved? You're really saved? Yeah, I'm got saved. Yeah, who says? I say it. Yeah, now I know. Now I know. Now I know your problem. Yes, don't say that. Well, if you say, Bible says, those who put their faith in Jesus Christ are saved. As many as received him. I am a person who received. So I don't say it. Bible says, God says it. I'm a child of God. That's correct answer. I'll take it. But I say it. So who cares what you say? This sort of things is there. So if you are a born again Christian, come back to Garden of Eden. Start living by faith. The just shall live by faith. The just shall live by faith. When people start living by faith, that's when. But nowadays people think that to question God is sign of maturity. To question God is a sign of maturity. If you simply say yes, yes, and you are a yes man for God, you are a sissy. But if you question everything, put God on the defensive, put elders on the defensive, put your father on the defensive, then you have come to age, but you are out from the garden. You are a lost person. That's why the Bible says submit to authorities. The earliest authority, the parents, then the teachers, the elders, the government. He who resists the authority resists God, for there is no authority but from God. So when the son says no to the father's authority, he is resisting God. I don't care what God gave you this authority. I rebel him, challenge him. That's what he's saying. Man was created beautifully. That day when Adam and Eve ate the fruit was a sad day. Satan watched there and laughed. Now man has become like God. Yeah, now man has become like God. Satan was thrust out from God's heaven for the same reason. That's what he wanted. I don't know what Adam and Eve told Satan. Did he say that? Cheating is okay, but this is too much. No, what cheating? Didn't God say you are like God now? Didn't God say you are like God? So the original state in which man was made was beautiful. Yes. So Westminster Catechism, the statement is very good. God created man after his own righteousness, his own image, in knowledge, righteousness and holiness. In Ecclesiastes 7:29, it's a sad statement, but it's a true statement. Ecclesiastes 7:29. The improvement we made upon us. What was that improvement? God has made man upright, but they have sought many inventions. God has created man upright, but man has made many inventions. How to get around God's standards. Very cunningly. Very cunningly. Is man successful? Oh no. The Lord is recreating. The new man is renewed in knowledge, in righteousness, and in holiness. The original state of man is not innocence, but holiness, righteousness, and true knowledge. These are all positive virtues. Holiness is more than innocence. It is not sufficient to say he was created in a state of innocence. That would be true only if God created man without moral dispositions, either right or wrong. Man was made negatively innocent and positively holy. If man did not know anything, it was sin he didn't know. But righteousness he knew. Yes. But now man changed. He knows sin experientially. You see, God does not know sin. God is negatively innocent concerning sin. He has no relationship with sin. Does God know what is adultery? What is murder? Does God know? No, God doesn't know what those things. He knows only theoretical knowledge, no practical knowledge. No. Adam had that, if you eat this fruit you will die, but he had no practical knowledge. But now he has practical knowledge. When it comes to evil, theoretical knowledge is the best, practical knowledge is the worst. When it comes to righteousness, theoretical knowledge is not the best, practical knowledge is the best. Theoretical knowledge is good but not the best. If you jump before a car, you will be hit and your bag will be broken, and if you know that theoretically good, but if you know it practically, pretty bad. If you swallow potassium cyanide, you will die instantly. That's theoretical knowledge. Hey, keep it. That's good knowledge. But don't. The practical knowledge, yes. Actually, nobody has the practical knowledge. Even people wanted to find out what is the taste of potassium cyanide. The maximum, they have not completed. They have completed halfway the letter S. So it is sweet or sour, nobody knows to this day. Yes. People have deliberately in one hand, and they have, yes, they touch the tongue before they complete the letter S, they collapse. That may be another person. There were plenty of fools in the world anyway. So whenever it comes to sin and evil and wickedness, theoretical knowledge, you know. If I hang, I will die. That's theoretical knowledge. Practical knowledge you don't want. You know, stay away as far as evil is concerned. So Adam knew theoretically if he eat that fruit he will die. But now Adam knows practically what good. Oh, what good it is. Yeah, he can say that, no, I have better knowledge now. Oh, you have? Keep it. Yeah, that's terrible, isn't it? I mean, it's terrible. Our young people are they're going after practical knowledge about what? All kinds of moral evil, immorality, you know, sexual sins and all those things. They're going after, they say that theoretical knowledge is not enough. Some people said that, man, when you are young, you have to know all these things. You can be spiritual when you get older. Yeah, in a young age is the time when you have to. I say, you fool. What is good about knowing sin experientially? That only will ruin your life. Somebody catch AIDS. Yeah, I have experiential knowledge. You only talk about theoretical knowledge. I have the experiential knowledge. I say, get out of the room. Yes. So, you know, God gave a man knowledge by faith. When that knowledge by faith was I will say, you know, pristine, pure, because it stated what God said about the tree. What God said about the tree. Did God have experiential knowledge? No. Concerning sin, God does not have experiential knowledge, only theoretical knowledge. On any evil, if God had experiential knowledge, he will become Satan. He is not God then. Satan is the one who has theoretical knowledge about righteousness and practical knowledge about all kinds of sin. He got a beautiful name, Satan, devil. Now the word itself sounds like devilish. To call somebody devil or Satan, that's not a compliment. So some husbands and wives call each other sometimes by such titles. I don't know why they will call that, but yes.
Has God given freedom to Adam?
God gave freedom to whom?
To Adam.
No, God never gave freedom. Because God told us, thou shalt not eat the day you eat. So that's freedom. That's prohibition, right? God gave Adam the ability to obey or disobey, but the freedom only to obey. If God gave Adam the freedom, then after eating, God should say, Adam, well done, well done. You enjoyed the freedom I gave you. I respect you. I honor you for that. You know. No, God never gives freedom for doing anything evil. People say they have the freedom. God never created man a free being. God created man a moral being, allowed only to do what is good. But God created man with the ability to do good or evil. A doctor has the ability to stab the man on this surgical table with a knife and kill him, or surgically operate and give him. But does he have the freedom? No, he doesn't have the freedom. The wife has the ability to use the kitchen knife to, stab the husband. But does she have the freedom to do it? No. If man has the freedom to do it, no police can arrest him, because police must say that I have come to appreciate the fact that you have exercised your freedom. No. So the idea that man is morally free to do evil is an evil idea. Martin Luther wrote the book Bondage of the Will. That's what it is, bondage of the will. Adam did not have the freedom. What is freedom? How will you define freedom? Freedom is the opportunity to do that which is right, for the right purpose, at the right occasion, the right way, with the right intention. That is called freedom. Man was given that freedom, if you want to say that. But man was not given the freedom to do the wrong thing. No, that's slavery. Satan was offering the wrong freedom, which really is not freedom. All our young people and all our politicians, and they are all talking about the wrong kind of freedom. Who is talking about the right kind of freedom? Nobody. You don't have the freedom to do anything that is wrong. No, you don't have. The child has the freedom to study her lessons, his lessons. Freedom to go to school, study the lessons, come home, do the chores that are required. He has the freedom. But the child does not have the freedom not to go to school, not to study the lesson, not to do the chores. No. If the child says, I have the freedom to go or not to go, what will you say? Oh, really? I appreciate that. No, you don't have the freedom to do that. That's what our people are doing, They want to do everything that they want. They want to go wherever they want. They want to sleep as many hours they want. They want to skip the Sunday if they don't want. They want to go to their friend's home and stay there overnight without telling anything. Do they have the freedom to do that? No, they don't have the freedom. I don't give that freedom. I believe in discipline. I was brought up in strict discipline. Sometimes I think too much discipline, maybe. But thank God that I had too much of the discipline, not little, But it was good, it was good. It was good. The misuse of the freedom, that's a misuse of the freedom, or that is called a licentiousness. You are doing what you want without any restraint. So recently there was a picture of a leopard or tiger. The head was inside a pot. Did that animal have the freedom to do that? That's what our young people are doing. They put their head in the wrong places, they're walking. Exactly, that's what they're doing the wrong thing. No, we should not be doing that. So God created man, righteous, upright. Man has invented many, many wrong things. The original state of man is not innocence but holiness, righteousness and true knowledge. God told man, you don't have the freedom to eat from that tree of knowledge. The day you eat, you shall die. That's not freedom, that's prohibition. But man had the ability because, personality, a personal being always has the ability. If God takes away that ability, cow doesn't have the ability to eat fish. It goes, smell the grass, and if the smell is okay, it eats. It doesn't have the freedom. No. Man does not just smell something and eat. Even if the smell is bad, man will put his, like this, pour it on. He has the ability to do that, but he doesn't have the freedom to do that. The ability. And it's terrible. Some people, after enjoying the ability, going around spitting and spitting and spitting. And terrible, And they say that we have the freedom. I say, you don't have the freedom. God never gave you the freedom. So the new creation is a condition of restoration to the primitive state. New creation, righteousness is viewed as a regenerative righteousness according to God, Ephesians 4:24, which after God is created in righteousness and a true holiness. Pelagius was a man. We talked about Pelagius sometimes past, I believe, when we... Yes, church history and all. Yeah, Pelagius denied that man was created in holiness and righteousness and knowledge. He said man was created innocent. He didn't know a thing about these things. Yeah, but Bible does not teach that. Pelagianism, creation of righteousness, knowledge and holiness. God created these three with man. Pelagius denied all three. He taught that the will of man at creation was void of any virtue or character. Adam's first act was to originate holiness and sinfulness. So Pelagians deny that Adam's posterity is born with any character. Man is not a sinner until he personally sins. That's what Pelagius says. So the little child that is born is neither righteous nor a sinner. It is a neutral. When the child does the first act voluntarily, that will decide. But I haven't seen a child that is not born a sinner. Honestly. Have you seen? I have raised up 5. They were all sinners. My sin and my wife's sin. And from both parties, families. They were all piled upon them. So what happened? Take them, give them hug and love and feed them, change their diapers, everything, and you lay down. What is wrong with you? Pick it up, no problem. Lay it down, problem. Pick it up, that's sin. Selfishness. That child is saying, I am the boss here, I decide when you will put me down and when you will go. You will hold me as long as otherwise you try to put down. So we made a rule. Take it to the room. Put a mat on the floor so that it won't fall down. Put it there, close the door. Let the child cry. As much as you want. You are free to cry.
You have the freedom to cry.
Yeah, you have the freedom to cry. So after a couple of days, the child finds out something that in this home, this doesn't work. So what am I going to do next? Yeah. And they all play games, they all play games. Doesn't some children, right before the bus comes, vomit? Mommy, I don't know. I feel, oh, in the pond today. Problem is over. Some want to go bathroom, some this problem. So sit there playing the games. If the parents say that, wipe it out, clean it, and then get in the bus. That problem will never be repeated. Unless it was due to some wrong food you fed or something. But next day that won't be. Next day says, I have a stomach ache. Yeah. And you put them on the bed and say that, on the bus and say that, cry until you reach school. As long as they find out that no way, they are thinking about what number next day. Finally they will find out that in this home numbers won't work. So, very honestly, faithfully, they will do there. That's the way you have to break through. All your children, not one of them is born holy. Nobody has a halo around their head. They are all born sinners. Parents only spoil them. Parents only honestly spoil them. Either by giving the wrong love. The right love always comes with discipline and all that. What is best for the child, that is what the love is, right? Crying is not a bad thing. Their voice will become better. They will become better singers and all. The old time, as soon as the child was born, the doctor will hold the child upside down and give 1, 2. Why? Because from the cry they can know that whether the lungs is clear, the tracts are clear or not. And also the sensitivity, the nervous system, they are kind of making their nervous system to work right. That in these days, all cesarean children, if there is any cesarean, forgive me. And the problem with the cesarean children is their nerves doesn't work. God has designed the birth canal in such a way that maximum squeezing is there, Every nerve has to be squeezed so that blood flow is right. Now cesarean, but cut it, open it up. This is all wrong system. Who is going to make the whole system right? And lot of women don't want to suffer the birth pain. So they have all kinds of injections now, in addition to those, even those who doesn't want cesareans, they have, what is it called, that special injection? Epidural injection, that will make painless. What good is painless delivery? Childbirth should always have the attached pain. That makes the wife's nervous system, the contractions and everything right. No, the curse is I will increase. The increased part is a curse. What do you think that, even blow your nose there is some discomfort. The Lord didn't say that your childbirth will be with pain, said I will increase. Man was not created to give birth every year. If there was no sin, probably 2 children at the most. Because for all eternity the population was to be going, and infinity, this earth is going to be infinitely populated. You think about that. Now it has only another 3,000, 2,000 years, so it has to be filled. So God said, run your machines faster. Yeah, that's the way it is. Look at what God said to Eve. Yeah, I will increase. I mean, you cannot increase something unless it is there. So it was there. Childbirth was going to be not a fun at any time. Yeah, it was there, but it was moderate. Now it is. So what man is trying to take away that. No, you take too much away. Take too much away. So I don't recommend cesareans and epidural injections and all these things. I say have natural childbirth. Even don't call a doctor, if possible call a midwife. They are the best trained ones. Unless there is a hospital should be handy, if case any. Because you don't need a doctor for childbirth. It's a natural thing, right? Childbirth is a natural thing. Look all the Nadodis and all that. അവർ ഭർത്താവിനോട് പറയും അങ്ങോട്ട് പോയിട്ട് വരരുതെന്ന് പറയും, ഈ കൊച്ചിനെ എടുത്തെന്ന് പറയും ഏന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. That's all that pastor is. The Hebrew women were like that. Isn't that what those midwives said, that before we reach there things are over? Well, partially true. Partially true. The reason is because these midwives were sent to kill the baby, and those Hebrew women know. So before they come, they want to get the thing done. Yeah, this is all fun. Anyway, what I meant to say is that the freedom is a wrong concept. A wrong concept. The new creation is a condition of restoration. What we lost in Eden, God wants us to regain, but in His kindness and goodness, He gives us more than what we lost. When we regain more than. We were originally created to live on the earth. Look, some of us are now created to live in heavenly places. Isn't that more than? Yes, that's more than that. So Pelagius denied that. Semi-Pelagians is another group. They also basically say that all the Armenians are semi-Pelagians. They teach us the same thing, though they admit that posterity is born with a vitiated physical nature. Pelagius denied even this. So far as the rational and voluntary nature of man is concerned, the semi-Pelagians asserts that holiness, like sin, must be self-originated by each individual. Sin was self-originated, righteousness must also be self-originated. How can you? Yes, how can a sinner self-originate? So he says, man is not a sinner. Man is not a sinner. Well, every man that I find is a sinner. As I said, the example of children. That's only one example. Did any of you teach your child to say lies? Did any of you teach your children to fight? You leave two children here, give in one child's hand a bottle, come back in after 5 minutes, one child will be holding the hair like this, the other child will be screaming, they will be trying to snatch the other thing. Very seldom see the other child putting the bottle in the mouth of the other child, say, drink, I'm a very generous Christian. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. We are all sinners. Then depend upon our upbringing, because we don't permit certain sinful tendencies to freely exercise, we kind of restrict it, and therefore, with our values and training and all that, we bring our children, in such a way that by God's grace, before they are 5 years, they find Jesus Christ as a Savior, and what a comfort it is. Oh boy. What a comfort. That's a great comfort. Because when you have your child saved at the age of 4 or 5, it makes a big difference. We had all our children saved before they were 6. The highest was 6, the lowest was 4. Between 4 and 6 they were all saved. What a joy it is. With the exception of one, all 4 were led to the Lord by my wife. One was led to the Lord in the Sunday school. She was very young. But it's a joy, their behavior. Doesn't mean that sin nature gone away, but they were going the wrong direction. Now they are turned to the right direction. So it's a great thing.